Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new League of Legends video. So we're back with somewhat of an old school Red Mercy type video, finally talking about some new advanced tricks you can do with Zed. It's been a while since I made a video like this because it's sometimes a little difficult to think of tricks or tips that are worthy of talking about. But I have been making a list slowly over time and I think the 4 tricks that I'll be mentioning in this video are definitely quite cool. And also something I recommend that you practice if you are an aspiring Zed player. So right before we get into the actual topic of the video, the question I want to ask you today is, which do you prefer, French fries or onion rings? And if you end up enjoying this somewhat old school type video, make sure to hit that like button. Alright guys, so first I'll list out the 4 different advanced tricks that I'll be talking about through this video so you get a general idea as to what we will be covering. The first trick I'll be talking about is what I like to call the sneaky 6. Following that, we'll talk about another trick called the anti-skill shot. And moving on from that, we'll talk about a trick called the delayed shadow, and the final trick of this video is going to be the shadow's kill. But now that you have a general overview, let's not waste any more time and go right into the first trick. Alright guys, so starting things off with the sneaky 6. Now this is one of the more difficult ones I'll be talking about in this video because it requires you to pay attention to a lot of small detail. Once Zed hits level 6 in lane, a lot of people start playing very passively, making it very difficult for Zed to get a kill. Well, this trick is made to counter that and you'll only have one shot at this per game. So it's really important to do your best to make it count and essentially make it work. So you just saw me do it on Echo right there, but let's take another look at it and really understand what's happening. So in order to make this work, you have to pay very close attention to your experience bar. When you're about 1 or 2 minions away from actually hitting level 6, you want to throw out your W for the harass with a full EQ combo if possible. But make sure you do this before you actually hit level 6. So in this example, I know that once those 2 melee minions die, I hit level 6 off of them. So I'm preparing to use my W for the harass on Echo, but he's not going to be too scared just yet because he still sees I'm level 5. So I throw the W harass and prepare for the all-in and I kill the minion. The second I kill the minion, I put the point in my ultimate, took the shadow I already have, and then ultied him instantly, and it's a very quick gap close that a lot of people will not expect. Unless they're paying very close attention to what your potential experience is, I promise you a lot of people will be simply caught off guard by this. Very cool trick, but also much more difficult than it looks because it does require a lot of concentration and you essentially looking at several different things. Alright guys, the second trick we'll be talking about is going to be the anti-skill shot. Now I gave it this name for a very specific and simple reason. You use this whenever you're trying to all-in a champion that has some kind of skill shot, especially one that's also ACC, so something like a Xerath E ability, to essentially outplay them and go in for the kill. Now since Zed's ultimate now has a 0.5 second delay before you can take the R shadow, a lot of skilled players will time their CC to get you the second you appear. So the idea here is to throw down your W first before you use your ultimate to take that W instantly the second you reappear to dodge the incoming skill shot. So let's take a little bit of a closer look to really understand exactly what just happened. This one is fairly difficult to do, but it really isn't the most difficult thing in the world either. And it also looks pretty flashy. So right before I use my ultimate, you see I also throw down my W shadow somewhere in a different direction from where I will reappear. And the second you reappear from your ultimate, you want to take the shadow because you are expecting, in this case, the Xerath to time his E ability to come out the second you reappear. And the only way to dodge that is either by flashing or again taking this W shadow. So here I reappear from my ultimate, have a little bit of a greedy E, but then I take my W, dodge his E ability, do the damage I have to do, and get a more or less free kill. Now granted, sometimes this will not work and it requires you to have some decent ping in order to make this work as well. But if it all comes together nicely, then you will outplay your opponent, you will dodge their skill shot, look all fancy, and probably get put into some Zed montage. Alright guys, trick number 3, the delayed shadow. This one is similar in concept to the one we just talked about, but it's for a different situation. So if you're fighting a one-on-one duel, especially against a bruiser or another assassin type champion, and especially if you're lower on HP and need to make a very big outplay, this is where you want to use this. The idea here is when the fight starts to throw down your W first but not take it instantly, use your full rotation of spells, then take your W usually to not only dodge a skill, but also to waste more time. You want to create distance, you want to to wait for your cooldowns and essentially also abuse the fact that you have ranged abilities. After taking the W shadow, usually you want to follow up with an ultimate because again it'll create more distance, and this is where you slowly start setting up the kill while still having options to outplay your opponent by taking shadows, dodging abilities, and abusing your range. So let's take a look at this one once again with the Echo teleporting in. So you can see I'm lower on HP, the Echo's teleporting in, and I feel like, you know what, I can probably outplay him. So I throw down my W first, and I have the option to take it whenever I need to. This will also help me do a bit more damage whenever I throw my Q. Again, you're using this W to help you outplay your opponent, dodge an ability, and also waste more time so that you have your skills up once again. This will also make it much more confusing for the person you're killing to understand what they should do next and how they can kill you. Essentially, you want to abuse the fact that Zed can cover distances very quickly. So you guys saw I used my full rotation of spells except for my ultimate took the W, make it confusing and make the Echo start panicking. I'm wasting time letting my Q and E come back up and even my W, and then when I need to, I close the distance once again with my ultimate, but now I have another escape path, but the damage is also starting to really stack up. So I put another rotation of spells on him, take the R back to safety because I am low on HP, let the Death Mark almost kill him, and luckily finish him off with my Shadow's E. Now for this specific trick, there's several ways you can do this to the point where you can also even use your ultimate before you take your initial W. It really just depends on the scenario given and also how skillful you are at Zed. But this is the base rundown on how this can look like, and once you get more experience, you can change it up here and there. And the final trick in this video is gonna be the Shadow's kill. This one is slightly more risky because you'll either get the kill or you just won't, and you might miss out on what could have been a free kill. But the idea here is the fact that you don't always have to be beside the enemy champion to get the final blow and essentially get the kill. You can always swap back early and have the Shadow finish off the kill and not put yourself in danger of also dying. This is something I see a lot of Zed players not do because they always feel like they have to be in the opponent's face to get the finishing blow. Now again, this is risky because if you end up taking the Shadow back early to save yourself from dying as well, but you end up missing, in that case, the Q, well, you're gonna miss the kill. But let's take a look at that one more time, of course, now in slow motion. So here you can see I'm fairly low on HP and I don't want to risk myself dying, but I also know that Xerath is very close to dying as well. So you throw down your W for some extra harass, get his HP a little bit lower, and set up your all-in that you're about to do. Here I like to pretend I'm backing away to make him feel safe, but then I instantly turn around, take the W, take the ultimate on him as well, put on some very quick E auto attack damage, and then instantly retreat so that I don't get stunned and potentially killed instead. Because you want to get him to the point where if he's not gonna die to your ultimate, you can instead then finish him off with the Shadow remaining from where you just swapped, so like you saw either with a Q or an E. This applies in so many other scenarios, for instance in a team fight. You don't always have to be beside your opponent to get the final blow and potentially put yourself at risk of dying as well. Your Shadows can also throw abilities, you can also put on a lot of damage with just that single Q like that, and usually it will be enough to finish off your targets. So I really think this one is extremely important to keep in mind. But that right there guys is about it for this video. Somewhat of an old school Red Mercy video. I used to do a lot of these way back when, but it's hard to think of very good tips and tricks to talk about for a specific champion. But either way, if you did enjoy this kind of video and you want to see more like it, make sure to hit that like button to let me know. Make sure to share this out with your friends, let them know some cool Zed tips and tricks that they can do, especially for people that are trying to learn Zed and be better with him. And make sure to check out my other videos as well if you haven't. Here are my favorite comments from my previous videos. Question: which reworked mage do you think will be the most overpowered? But I thank each and every one of you for watching, and I hope to see you for the next video. Peace.